Don't let the bridge map scare you. The game that you have for the bridge map is called the Pass Around Bridge. And it really should help take some of the mystery out of using the bridge map for analogies. Everybody always panics and thinks about SAT. This is to this, and the old SAT they used to do, or analogies they do in language arts class that don't make sense to them. So this should really help with that whole concept. The Pass Around Bridge game really has you set up, I use sentence strips because it's just easier, has you set up the first pair of the analogy, the first pair. Each team then takes a look at just this pair and tries to decide what is the relating factor. The relating factor is critical in a bridge map because it's not what's the relationship. You want to look at the relating factor, which must have a verb. So in this case, you're really saying a cube is the three-dimensional shape of the square that is two-dimensional, okay, is a three-dimensional version of the square, which is clearly not math speak for you. So getting that relationship, then you turn it on to the back where it has just here relating factor, and you write the relating factor. Then you turn it back around and add one more pair that has the same relationship. This then gets passed to another table who, without looking at the back of this strip, tries to figure out the relating factor and adds a third pair, which then gets passed to another group that adds the fourth pair. Once the fourth pair is done, then they flip it on the back and make sure that the relating factor is the same all the way across the bridge map. That's going to be really important to understand that the relationship, the relating factor, has to stay the same for each pair. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. This one is stem and plant. Okay, so the first thing you do is at the table, they have the conversation. What is the relationship between the stem and the plant? So from that relationship, I make a relating factor. So it's really part to whole is what you'd say the relationship is. But to do this with the relating factor, you'd say the stem is a part of a whole plant. Then you turn it on the back and you write is a part of. And it could be the whole or is a part of. Okay? Then you come back and add. Now, this next pair doesn't have to be related to a plant, doesn't even have to be related to science. You could come up with anything that is part to whole relationship. Then that whole process of passing happens again. Okay? Here's another example. So you can go with content, or you can actually go with real life examples. So in this one, it can be cell phones and a landline. So you can say, have the conversation at the table. What's the relationship? This is modern, this is old school. However you want to talk about this. But now the relating factor would be cell phones are replacing a landline at home. Or cell phones have taken the place of a landline at home. That then gets written on the relating factor, and we come back and now try to come up with other pairs. It's a lot of fun, the game. So that's one thing I wanted to share with you about the bridge map. Another thing that's not in the game, but is a way for you to use this in your classroom. Remember, you do the game piece to understand it, and then you roll it into content applications and standards-based. When you're using the bridge map with students, you want to understand that there are technically 5 pieces of the bridge map. The relating factor is one part. You have your top and bottom of one pair and the top and bottom of another pair. I want to show you that because to differentiate the bridge map, it's really easy to do differentiation with this, is you think of this as a puzzle. When you work with students, you give them 4 pieces of the puzzle and let them guess the 5th one. You give them just 1 piece and let them come up with the others. Lots of ways to play with this, and talking to students about it as a puzzle makes it a lot of fun. So in this case, I've given you the top and the bottom pieces. So I can do this. Now the relating factor's not there, but I can look at this and see that I've got a color here and an object here. So students could very easily say, is the color of. Green is the color of grass, like orange is the color of a pumpkin. And then they have a blank one here where they get to come up with their own examples. So you're playing with different levels of development. In this case, all I've given you is the relating factor. Students can do whatever they want to with it. Students really enjoy using the bridge map like a puzzle and playing with the different missing pieces. This is a lot of fun, great thought process. Don't run away from the bridge map.